Howdy, howdy. Ps5 here. Welcome to an Elden Ring DLC Shadow of the Erdtree review. Pretty much what everyone else is saying, really. I think I don't know if I'm going to say anything too unique, but I just want to talk about my experiences in the DLC, and obviously highly recommend it. It's just a given. If you enjoyed the base game, of course. If you didn't enjoy the base game, then yeah. But if you enjoyed the base game, I think just standard version of the DLC. You don't need any extra version stuff, any of the all that shit. Don't worry about that. Just the normal default DLC. Download that, access it. Have to be at Moog, at Moog's Palace, and collect the fragments. You should collect the scattered tree fragments and use them straight away. Don't worry about that too much. You can do your challenge runs. I think anything after your first run, you should do challenge stuff. I mean, first time challenge is tough, and you might just suffer a little bit. I suffered a little bit at the start of my journey. I didn't use any fragments. I beat Rolana with no fragments, and then they got to Mesmer and had a bit of challenge, and then I started using fragments, and then went back and got some more fragments, and then came back and took care of it. And yeah, so I still had many challenges. I used summons, and I still had challenges. So it's the whole summons are a magic bullet. Some bosses they are, but there's other bosses where they're not. And a lot of the way the bosses are designed, they hit with big AoEs, big swings, and they're able to hit the mimic or whichever other summon you use, because there's other ones that are good too, and you at the same time. So it's not a instant win card. I did in the final boss has summoned the NPC and I summoned the mimic halfway through, because again you had to save it because the mimic would die so quickly. So again, even with the revered spirit ashes, which upgrade the strength of your summons and horseback stuff, it still felt like they could handle it. And you summon more people, you increase the health of the boss, and it goes up a lot. So it does become like with Rolana, I summoned the NPC and mimic, so it did feel like a raid boss. Really, it took so much time to kill the boss, but I just spammed black flame fireball things, and it was I did different things for each boss, which was interesting, I think. So I have them all on the channel, all the boss fights, but I do think it's good to mix it up, and limiting yourself to one weapon, one strategy is just a recipe for a bit of suffering. So yeah, spare yourself. Like I can understand like 10 goes solo, and then maybe you try mimics, and then or different summons, and again there's a couple that are pretty good. I think the Taylor the Golem Smith is one of the best summons. It's a fantastic summon from one of the forges. I won't tell you which, because you can find it for yourself. It's fantastic, and the thing that makes it so good is it can tank. He's very slow. He does have a ranged attack. He throws rocks, but it's I used it against Mesmer to beat Mesmer, and then against Medea, and that was just perfect counter to a status accumulation type boss with the frenzy. So that's the thing. I'll just run around. It's very challenging DLC, but I think people forget how challenging the base game is, and just getting a character ready for the DLC and be able to experiment with the weapons. You have to get past the Godskin duo in Crumbling Fire and Missoula to get your max upgrades with smithing stones, so you can consistently just buy smithing stones to upgrade all the weapons you find. So you need to be so far progressed just to be able to upgrade everything you find, to experiment with it and to see if it's any good, that it really does kind of, you've already been asked a lot. And Moog is quite challenging, I'll be honest. Unless you get the shackle from the sewers, I think that'll help a bit. But it is quite a challenging thing to get here, and I feel like, I don't know, time has passed and people have just sort of drifted and forgotten how hard the game is. It's bloody hard. It's particularly when you lock yourself into certain weapon styles. You go, I'm going to use 2 daggers or just this or just that. Then it becomes so hard. When you're flexible and you can see which things are very powerful, then you've got a lot more options and you can adapt. You change your build, you go back and respec with the level tiers with the carrying, the Hogwarts. Yeah, the Academy. And you go and respec. There's some, overpowered stuff. I'm sure there'll be nerfs for certain things, but for the most part, Big Shield was effective for me in the final boss, but I didn't use that in all of them, though. I just used a normal basic shield, like a little light shield. But just the last boss, I just had to tank, and I used Anspur and just rotted and bleeded. But you still learn the moves. You still got to get good. There's a point where, even with summoning, when it's actually a hard boss, the summons will die. And you'll have a third of the boss's health bar to go. You still got to finish them off. You still got to play it carefully. Now, if you maximize damage and you have better spells, better equipment, then maybe you can get past that. But I just generally struggled. So if you're thinking it's too hard for you, I'm telling you right now it's not. Same with Elden Ring. It's just not. You can do it. Regardless of the skill level that you think you have, you can do it. Leveling up, not so important in the DLC, but just, get yourself to standard. The 150 recommendation, I think, is totally reasonable. But you can always level up more, get more stats. Don't worry. The Schedulery fragment scaling is where it's at, and they have updated it to make it easier, so I beat it when it was harder. See, cop that. No, I'm joking. There's no copying anything. Achievement is achievement. You think it's good, and it is. So, you beat the game, I'm proud of you, damn it. You beat a boss, I'm proud of you. See, I'll say it. Someone has to say it. You use summons, you get the win, you got the win. A win's a win's a win. There's no bullshit qualification of, oh, you didn't beat it this way, you didn't. No. No. You beat it, you beat it. That's it. That is it. Now, I played through on New Game Plus 1, so I didn't have the bells, so I couldn't upgrade all the weapons and try them out, which is probably a good thing. So it's like I've got room to see all the new DLC weapons and experiment with them and upgrade them and see what they're like on other characters. But it just... it was interesting, because I couldn't summon real people because of a New Game Plus, and they're less likely to do that. So it did really encourage me to, go on one of my other characters that isn't in New Game Plus and see if I can summon people and, have that community interaction, because I think that is one of the really good things about the game. And I do think the messages are a big part of that. So yeah, I'll say that's nice. And the messages throughout the DLC, I think, have been really good. And really, it is such a big positive thing about Souls-like, particularly FromSoft's games, is the message system and how it sort of brings the community together. And, oh, this is a secret here, and, oh, you can do this here, and no item ahead. And then there's someone saying there's a hidden wall, and there's not, and someone saying a wire ahead, and then there's all the turtles, and there's just, oh, there's a dog, and all that sort of stuff. It's just, it's good. And it does make it feel more alive. I don't know if that's the way forward, is better multiplayer. Obviously, seamless co-op is something that they need to think about, but I'm not sure that they're capable of that. It'd be tremendous if they could do it. But yeah, it's a beautiful DLC. Very interesting. Different areas, different challenges. I do feel as though perhaps it would be entirely different if they disabled the horse through the entire DLC. I feel like you could have perhaps a different experience, but I understand some parts of it, with the climbing and things, you do need the horse. So I'm kind of torn, because I feel like the horse is still the most overpowered thing in the game. Torrent is OP. Is the ability to run past enemies and double jump and get around things and skip areas. It really does. I don't know. I feel like it takes away from the game, but it's also takes a bit of pressure off as well, so you don't feel as overwhelmed. And that's where I think Elden Ring is so strong compared to previous titles. 'Cause the more linear structure, basically giant legacy dungeons, means that you're always in that and you're always sort of trapped. But the torrent is kind of like a freeing element and gives you a bit more freedom to explore and discover things. But that's it. There's a lot more legacy dungeons in the DLC. I think the eventual outcome, the likely next sort of iteration is going to be just the entire world is one big legacy dungeon. It's just going to be one huge one where there is optional ways to go and different bosses to find, but it's all seamlessly interconnected with no blank spots, no dull areas where you feel like, oh, they should have put something here. You won't have that feeling. I feel like that's the next step. But whether or not they'll multi-layer it like they did in the DLC. The DLC is a bit confusing, I must say. I did eventually find my way. I did look up guides for how to get to here and how to get down into here. So that's just, you stumble in the right places or you don't. And you may have to go, oh, wait a second, I haven't even found this part of the map. How do I get there? And then some of the areas, like over here, everything's layered on top of each other. So it's kind of, the map is misleading. I do wish we had the overground underground. Would have been nice to have, like we have in the base game. That would have been good. It did feel, yeah, it is a very confusing map. I would have liked, I don't know. Yeah, just the underground overground would have been enough, I think, just to allow, because the Graces don't quite explain the height or any elevation in the positioning as well as they could. And it does sort of make you go, what? And how do I get back there? Where is there? And then what's this place? And then there's a lot to learn. But I do feel as though it's rewarding to explore and learn it. And that's the whole thing about Overmore games, is you feel rewarded. You feel happy that you've seen the sights and you experienced all the different bosses and conquered them, and you had the personal achievement that you did it. And that's what matters. It's not about other people, level 1 run and they using a toothpick or whatever. It's about you and your journey. And I do feel you could argue the it's a strength and a weakness of FromSoft's titles, where they're Souls-like titles in particular, where you are as a character, it's you and your journey, and you have to bring that part of it. So there's no narrative that really enhances your own journey, as opposed to sort of complementing the steps you've taken or the bosses you've beaten. It doesn't feel like the person you're playing as is a character in the world as much as just a random person going around killing gods. And so it's not like a character action game. It's not like one of those. And again, it's not supposed to be. You're supposed to feel that sort of desolation and hopelessness and strive for personal growth from the fleeting glimmers of whatever's on offer. You can level up if you do this. You can get souls. You can get stronger, and then you just take these faint glimmers of hope and then defeat the gods. Yeah, it's a different sort of thing, but it's that personal achievement is everything. Take your time though, as always. Explore for the fun of it and find the scattered tree fragments for the fun of it. I feel like the moment you start thinking, oh, I've got to go out and find these fragments, and you look them up on a map, oh, they're there and there, I think you kind of hurt your own, you're taken away from some of the joy of exploring an open world. Again, there's no right or wrong way to play, but I'm just going to tell you that you're going to have less fun if you approach it in such a systematic way, where you go, oh, but there's one there, one there, as opposed to just being like, I'm on the road, and I go, oh, what's over here? And what's over there? And what's over there? And what's over there? Just be in the world and be like, what's that? I want to go over there. And how do I get there? And then you get lost, and you're like, oh, what's that? And you find this, and you find that, and you find a boss, and you find a thing, and you're like, oh, I've gone on this wild journey. I've ended up over here. How did I get here? I just keep going. And just take a step, see where it takes you. I think that's the beauty of the game. And, you know, there's a lot of talk about balancing and things like that, and it is sort of balanced around the fragments in reality, but if you're having trouble with a boss, just go explore the world more. Or just work it out. Because, again, you've got to learn their attack patterns. You've got to learn what they do and when they do it. And you've got to find a way to punish them. You've got to be flexible. But, you know, so if you decided to use only one weapon, one way, then, of course, you're going to have challenges. You know that. Everyone knows that. But there's many different ways to do things. And yeah, I hope everyone gives it a real petting go. And they don't give up. Because again, it's not... The only hurdle is yourself. That's the challenge. You have to get over yourself. You have to get over death in the game. You have to be like... Dying in Souls-likes is just the learning experience. That's it. It's just learning. Every enemy in the game, they're at your mercy. Because as a Tarnished, we just don't die permanently. We just keep coming back. So the bosses are just standing in the room going, oh, he's going to come back. Oh, she's going to come back. They're coming back. They're coming back again. And they're stuck. They're in a prison. And we just keep coming back. We just keep coming. And then we're always going to win in the end. Whether that be months later because we had to take a break. Yeah. Always take a break if you feel you need a break. All that sort of stuff. Anything else worth mentioning? There's lots of quests. You probably will need guides for them, to be perfectly honest. Some of them, you need guides. Good luck with that. Stupid message. I wish you could turn them off sometimes, though. I mean, they're good. They do nice stuff. They do add to the environment, but they also distract a bit. I have had... Okay, so back to technical issues. I'm on PS5. I have had issues with slow frame rate. A little bit of lag things. So, again, lots of people playing, all that sort of stuff. I have had numerous instances where the game has signed me out of the PlayStation Network randomly. Even though I haven't actually lost internet connection, I haven't actually been signed out. Like, it's still logged in on the console, but I've been logged out of the Elden Ring side of it. And that's been mid-boss fight. Happened to me mid-final boss. And it's happened multiple times. Probably 10 times it's signed me out randomly. It just exits me out of the game. Which is disappointing. I had a crash, proper crash, nearly, turn the PlayStation off, sort of stuff. So yeah, there have been performance issues, definitely frame issues, a lot of pop-in issues, definitely in the starting area, and then a couple other areas where as soon as you load in, you can just see everything loading in to the world, and it's kind of disappointing. I do think optimization could be a lot better. There's just no doubt. There's no mystery here. There's nothing clever. It's just long-standing issues. I know PC have got a bunch of other issues and stuff. It's optimization. So whether they're going to put in the work to do that, I doubt it. The track record is not great. But that said, then people bring up Armored Core, and that's just a totally different game. Totally different game. It's really not relevant. But having said that, it shows a capability. So, should we expect more? Yeah, but I think it doesn't take away from how amazing this DLC is and how deep it is. It is so deep. And the lore, oh my goodness. Poor Moog, but then he was still crazy anyway. So it's like he was a bad guy, but then he got, and all that sort of stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff, all the lore videos and things people will watch and all that, yeah. But having said that, even I could make sense of what was sort of going on, which I think was a step in the right direction. You do feel a lot of the George R. R. Martin stuff. I do feel like his influence is much more apparent in the DLC than in the base game. So, yeah, there's that part of it. But does it... Because it doesn't nullify the base game. And that's kind of the main thing here, is it is a side thing you do before you beat the final bosses in the base game, I feel. As though that's the positioning it should be. Because you do get some good items, really good items, that would really help with that. And... yeah, I mean... yeah, I would recommend doing it before you do the Horaloo Chieftain of the Badlands. Before Elden Beast Radagon. I feel like that's kind of where you want to put it in terms of the game's progression and story. I would have liked it there was a couple of things, impacts on the world when you go back, but I can understand they're separate. So they're separate. But I do feel like being able to have conversations with characters with the information that you've actually learnt from the DLC would have been very nice. And again, an extra step. I don't think FromSoft are capable of such a thing, which is disappointing. But it's kind of like just after you beat the DLC, you're like, I wish I could talk to Sir Gideon Ofnir about some of the things I've seen and the bosses and things. And I do wish there was some more conversation stuff. You could talk about all the bosses and the lore and things in the game itself that was part of the game. I can understand why they want to kind of keep that out of it and leave people open to interpretation even more so. But I do wish there was more characters that you could chat to. Like Melina in the base game, she talks at you. I do wish there was, someone like that in the DLC that was kind of going with you on this journey. But again, it's a very personal thing. You are the conduit of everything. You have to take all the information in and interpret it how you wish. And it is your journey. You are the main character. And like other people's experiences don't invalidate yours. So just, appreciate your own experience. It's comparison is the thief of joy, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I just experience it for yourself. That's what I'll say. Okay, I want to end it here. I'm in Frosty510. You've been you. Like and subscribe. Buy the Elden Ring DLC. Play it. Don't give up. You've got this. I believe in you. I believe everyone can beat it. Use your scatter tree fragments. I beg you. Without them, you do have to find other ways. But it's not impossible. I didn't say that. It's just that, yeah, it puts the pressure on, really. So you have less room for mistakes if you don't take them. And so if you're doing like a no-hit run, I'm sure it makes no difference. But except for you do more damage, which would help. But for everyone else, just use the systems that they give you. Summon if you have to. If you want to. I like the summons. I like my damn golem. Golem is so sick. Spirit of the Stalwart Stone Golem launches his own fist as projectiles. Tells it to be run to the litter and the first to stop moving, but it was he who became the guardian deity of Smithery. He's an absolute beast. One of the most fun summons in the game. He's great at drawing aggro. Really, really, really good. So good against Mesmer. Yeah. Yeah. I'll remember Elden Ring in this DLC for a long time. And the game will live in a great state 10, 20 years. People will still be playing it in the future. They'll come back and go, hey, was that Elden Ring game any good? And you'll be like, yeah, you can play that. That's good. Maybe they'll make something even better, which they can do. I feel like there's still lots of room for improvement, but that's me. What do you think? You played the DLC, did you think it was unfair, or the system was weird, or you didn't like it, or you didn't want to explore the world and didn't want to find natural you naturally find the skeleton fragments as a result of the just natural instinct to explore the world. Tell me your experiences, your journey. What build did you use? I sort of balanced. I started with Sword of Night and Flame, and then I was using Rolana's weapons, and then I was using Black Flame stuff, and then I was using Pest Threads against Bale, and then I was using Thumbprint Shield against the final boss, and I was using my boy. Oh, I used the Mesmer's weapon and against the saying the Bud, the damn rot boss, and oh my goodness, I did all sorts of different stuff. You can see on my channel, I've got all the boss fights. Yeah, tell me how you did it. I want to hear about it. Tell me all about it. Yeah, because it is a shared experience, but a personal journey. And I hope everyone does it. I'd be sad if people quit. That's how I'll explain it. I'll be sad. Same with just Elden Ring in general. Sad when people hit a road bump and they turn around. I much prefer they just carry on, even if it is conceding they can't beat the boss at the time and doing something else. I feel like I had a moment, honestly, when I was fighting the final boss, and I was fighting quite early, and I nearly beat it, like with 1/10 of the health left. And then I died. And I was like, I could keep smashing my head against this wall and maybe I could beat it. But it may be better if I just go against it, throw away my pride and go and explore the world some more. And that was absolutely the best decision I made in my playthrough. Just to explore. And then I found so much stuff, so many different areas, so many different bosses, and I found the fragments. I came back and the boss was still hard. It was still hard to beat, but I found a way to beat it, which is sort of a cheap way to do it, but I don't know, I felt like I learned his patterns. I've seen every one of his attacks and all that stuff, so it wasn't like I was skipping that learning part, but it was just so good to explore and to have the final boss still there to fight, because I do feel as though if you rush through the final boss and then try and explore after, it's a little bit harder because you feel less motivation to collect fragments and to collect things. You need end goals. So I do recommend not beating the final boss as soon as possible. I do recommend exploring. That's probably that. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, that's enough. If you enjoyed the video, check out the boss fights. Some of them I talk, some of them I don't talk, because I kind of locked in and I was like, no, I don't want to talk. But then I do talk about after the final one about my build and all that sort of stuff. But it's, you should do your own thing, but whatever. Yeah, so many secrets and so many more, and so many quest things I missed. So I still have lots of quest things to learn about and different items to find, and so many more secrets. I'm sure there'll be even more coming out all the time. And yeah, so one of the best games ever made gets a fantastic DLC. Does it put it up to the highest rated game ever? Maybe. I still think there's lots of room for improvement. I still think there's a lot of room for growth, and it's a lot to do with the open world design and your impact on it. And I still feel like the base game, once you become Elden Lord, there's a lot more that could happen after that I feel as though they fail miserably in that regard. But it's just about consequences and changes and your impact and all that sort of stuff. Rewards, I think, as well, could do a lot more. And the New Game Plus system is woeful, and they could do so much more with it. And there's so many other games that do so much better they can learn from. So hopefully they do learn from other games and implement some systems. And the Colosseum needs a boss rush mode, obviously. That's just a no-brainer. There's so many no-brainer things, but it's all positives on top of what is already incredible positive experience in gaming. That they could just add more. That there's room to add such obvious great things to it, and you're like, oh, they could just do this and this and this, and the seamless co-op and this and this and this. And it's like, oh, makes the game even better. And you're like, but it's already an amazing game. It's crazy. Yeah. All right. If you enjoy my ramblings, like and subscribe. I'll catch you next time. See ya.